China is about to change the world forever. What if I told you there is a silver-colored metal with unlimited energy potential that's safer, cleaner, and vastly more efficient than traditional uranium-based nuclear power? This could be the greatest discovery in human history. A discovery capable of transforming economies, reshaping the global balance of power, and revolutionizing life on our planet as we know it. This is the future of limitless energy, and China is leading the way. Get ready for the biggest show on Earth. This show is massive. Behind these massive doors lies the future of how we live, cook, clean, and connect. Wow, that is innovation in the kitchen now. You can make your money back real quick with these.
People come and give you money.
Everybody loves an air fryer, and now they're getting smarter. It's bigger, better than ever. This is the Canton Fair. Guangzhou, one of China's most dynamic economic engines and modern megacities of over 20 million people, is hosting the 138th Canton Fair, the nation's premier global trade gateway. Get ready for the biggest show on Earth. This show is massive. And sorry, America, you're missing out. Forget what you know about the night sky. Today, we are standing in the cyber capital of the world. You amazing? It is amazing. This is Chongqing, the city that doesn't wait for stars to come alive. They engineer them, and they engineer them well. The sky is no longer the limit. The sky is the new screen, and the show starts right now. Let's go.
Yeah, baby. It's episode 75 of The Whiners on March 26th, 2026. Jeff Norman Morgan and Ryan Milton with you, as we always are on Thursday nights. And tonight we're very happy to have as our special guest, Alex Reporterfy, a triple threat geopolitical analyst, podcast host, and documentary producer. And he does all three very well. And you just saw some evidence of that in the opening. Also, I would like to mention that thanks to Alex, one of our other shows, Ask the Inspector with Scott Ritter, is actually distributed in China. So far, The Whiners is not seen there, but Ryan will be visiting China in a few weeks. So you never know what might happen after he charms everyone. In any case, we're very happy to have Alex here this evening. For us and for him, it's tomorrow morning. Thanks for getting up early for us, Alex. How you doing?
From the future. My pleasure, my pleasure. Thank you. Thanks, Jeff, and hello to the panel. I look forward to the interesting discussion we're going to have here.
Alex, right. I saw those videos and I'm like, holy cow, I gotta go there. I gotta go there right now. It's amazing. It's crazy. Amazing.
It might just be his filmmaking skills making it look better than it is. What do you think?
I don't don't know. I don't know.
Could be
Morgan,
both.
what do you think? It's pretty cool. Was that?
I've wanted to go to China for years. I just haven't had the opportunity yet. But but I'm eagerly looking for an opportunity. I know that you're going soon, Ryan, which I'm really jealous about.
Well, I am going to just say right now that I am praying that Alex takes me to at least one of those places that we saw on the screen there.
All right, before we get to our chat with Alex, as is our custom, we are drinking wine. At least a couple of us are. I don't know about 7 a.m. in China, if that's exactly wine drinking time, but I'm having one of my favorites, a California Petite Syrah, that really is not available anymore, so I bought a few bottles, and I'm just trying to be judicious as I go through it. And since we have such an esteemed guest tonight, I thought I'd crack open one of these bottles. How about you, Ryan?
Yeah, well, let me just say, I can't stand it when they go out of a wine that you really like and you're forced to buy like all the remaining cases. So that is not for me tonight. However, I am drinking a very nice award-winning cab that's a little bit more than that one that you had, but and I've been letting it breathe for the last 45 minutes, so can't wait to toast Alex at the end of the show. Maybe I'll get through the whole bottle. Who knows? I'm so excited about this discussion.
And I'm just having good old water tonight. I don't know what Alex is having. Yeah.
Soju? You don't drink soju. Maybe that's somewhere else.
I mean, I have a whole cave of wine just to my left here, but it's stocked with bottles from Argentina. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
So you are a wine lover.
Those more hours. Oh yeah, absolutely. Mendoza is a great wine valley in Argentina, a few hours flight from the capital, and just extraordinary stuff going on down there.
Are the Chinese doing things down there?
No comment.
Oh, okay.
All right, Alex, are you ready to tell us how much the U.S. sucks and how much better China is and how we're all losers for living here and your life is so much better than ours? Go ahead. We can take it.
Yeah, Jeff, unfortunately for the average hardworking American right now, life is getting very difficult. Currently, we've seen a lot of havoc on the world financial markets. It doesn't just start with the Iranian invasion, but it dials back many, many years and many, many decades ago when America has this policy of kind of getting involved in other people's business when they should just kind of focus on their own economy. And, I am a person that has great pride for the United States of America, growing up in the neighboring country of Canada. I'm a Canadian citizen. And growing up in my young years, I used to look at America as a beacon of prosperity for my life, prosperity for my family, and always felt proud having the United States of America being that neighbor that we could rely on, whether it was tough times, whether it was good times, we would rejoice together. Unfortunately, during my last few decades as a man that's traveled the world, I started to be enlightened by other things that really didn't affect me at the time. And one of them was, the posture of the American administrations. I'm not just going to zero in on the current one, but the last few administrations here has really brought hardship to the average American and Canadian. And how that affects people, if you are a business owner in the United States of America and you import, you're getting hammered. If you are a person that's looking at your 401k now, you're getting hammered. For the last 5 or 6 years, mortgage rates have gone through the roof. You're getting hammered financially there. AI is taking your jobs as well. There's not an investment in AI to bring you a prosperous future. There's investment in AI in the United States to kind of remove you from the workforce. And then on top of that,
we are told, and I'm going to put we because we are a NATO country in Canada, we are told to come along for the ride when the administration wants to experiment in, once again, regime change in countries that it pretty much knows nothing about, even spiritually, religiously, and economically. I'm not sure what the mission was in Iran. They were under sanctions. The Strait of Hormuz was open already. Now it's closed. Now they're talking about, let's get it open again, guys. Well, just a few weeks back, it was open. But, well, now it's closed, and rightfully so. So this isn't about, me trying to be difficult with United States. But when it hits every single person in, the wallet, and then we see some very interesting things. I think you guys, Jeff, especially you know that I trade the financial markets. I have been for almost 30 years, professional trader in derivatives. What you are seeing in the last few weeks is outright market manipulation by the Trump administration, front running the market before it opens, and then in extended hours, manipulating the extended hour trading. And I'll give you an idea what I mean about that is the average person thinks the stock market closes at 4 o'clock, which it does. But that doesn't mean the average financial market closes in the United States at 4 o'clock. No. There's something called the derivatives market, and it's a futures market, and it has everything to do with everything, whether it's natural gas, whether it's milk, soybeans, cattle, financial instruments, markets, S&Ps, everything you can imagine in one bowl. Well, when the financial markets close, we'll say the mom and pop traders, that's it for the day of trading. But then the big boys come out and the big girls come out and they start trading derivatives. Now, I'll give you an example of the size of the worldwide derivatives market. It is 1 quadrillion. It's basically 10 times the size of the entire global economy. That trades financial markets almost 24 hours a day, about 5 to 6 days a week, all day, all night until I believe it's into the late evenings and Friday, and then the early evening Sunday. Now, what the Trump administration has done and what he does with his truth posts is he front runs the market. He'll say, oh, we're in big discussions with Iran. Pop, there goes the market. And we're talking $1 trillion swings here in the financial markets, okay? $1 trillion swings, where then he'll say, oh, they're not listening to us. We're going to hammer them hard. Boom, oil flies up. Another trillion is made. Oh, things are looking good. And you watch them, you see the timing in these releases. And normally they put people like this in jail. But right now, business as usual. And I'm not zeroing in on the current Trump administration. I had a lot of respect for him when he ran in 2016. I thought, here we go. Finally, there's somebody in the White House who's a businessman that can bring the economy forward. And then we saw a lot of internal fighting back and forth. You're back it, you're it. Subpoenas, impeachments. And yeah, he came back with a vengeance in 2024. And now we are enjoying the wrath of that. So over to you, Jeff. Thank you for that.
Well,
yeah, I think
I could go ahead. Jump in.
Oh yeah, I was just going to say, someone made a comment that I kind of wanted to stress was that the Strait of Hormuz is, it's definitely not as open as it was, but they make a good point that it is open, and it kind of furthers this shift from this hegemonic power of the US dollar to other currencies. Iran's only letting, I think it's yuan, or they can trade in other types of currencies outside the US dollar. If they can prove that, they can go. Would you like to comment on that?
Sure. Basically, Iran has the Trump administration and the world financial markets by the neck. Now, they are letting friendly passage of vessels through, and they will continue. They understand the hardship that it's having with the Southeast Asian countries that rely on this, not just for oil, but also for helium, other products, fertilizer. This has a lot. I mean, we're going into the growing season coming up here again. Now, we're seeing massive spikes in prices. Yes, the currency of choice is the CNY, the Chinese RMB. That is the currency of choice. These vessels are getting through. They will continue to get through to friendly nations. And I don't think we're going to see a U.S. vessel or Israeli vessel with any flags on it like that probably ever go through there again without being either paid a nice little transit fee, as we call it. But yeah, moving forward, this was a fight that America brought upon itself. The Strait of Hormuz has been open, and now, well, when you get bombed 15,000 times, some things are going to change, and this is one of them.
Yeah, I think it was definitely, I wouldn't say the American people are very clear that this was not a war. I mean, even the soldiers we're hearing are objecting to this conscientiously in record numbers, but it's our leaders who really need to be held account to these criminal actions that we are not agreeing to. But Ryan, I'll go ahead and pass it to you.
Well, I mean, you brought up derivatives right away, Alex, and I appreciate that. I saw your show now. It's probably been a week or two with Cyrus Jansen and the Duran. You brought it up then too. And I don't think here on this show yet you've said exactly the size of the derivatives market, but when you look at the American banks, their derivatives portfolios to their actual physical assets, it's hundreds and hundreds, thousands of times bigger. And nothing that they're involved in, to my knowledge, is actual physical activity, productive activity. Whereas you see in China, the thing I focus on is the Belt and Road. There is massive investment. And please say something about this. It's not just state investment. There is private investment, I think, in China in these things because they're literally looking at developing everywhere that Belt and Road goes, as opposed to pure speculation is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. And that's a very good observation on the financial markets here when it comes to derivatives. Derivatives market is massive. It's between 700 trillion to 1 quadrillion of these products are traded. Any bank, if it was called in to secure, and derivatives we've got to kind of look at derivatives as bets on the market, and also kind of like, okay, we don't think the S&P is going to go down 15%. Somebody will put a derivative on that. They'll sell a put option on it or buy a call option. I don't want to get too technical, but let's just say all is going well, all is going well. All isn't going well, it's catastrophic. We saw it in 2008 with the credit default swaps at the housing market. Boom. Now we're going to see it. We saw it in silver market a few months ago. That was predicted by me on the Duran many months ago. And now we have predicted the oil market. We were on the program a few weeks back, even before that, saying $65 a barrel is nothing. Get all that you can under $100 because we're going to maybe 200 to 300. Okay, your second part of your question was the Belt and Road Initiative, the BRI. Currently, right now, we'll give you an idea. The United States had a strategy before. It was called the Build Back Better, but I called it the Build Back Bankrupt because it never got off the ground. So now we have what we call the Belt and Road. Now, the Belt and Road is going into its 11th year. It basically is an investment from China. Now, we're going to hear on the Western media that this is China getting people into debt, nations into debt, making them debt slaves to China. If somebody walks into your house and offers you $100 billion and says, okay, spend it on infrastructure, spend it on growing your company, spend it on growing your country, open up small banks, microfinance people with small businesses, and we're going to give you a payment portal that you're not enslaved to the IMF, and sign the agreement, and you sign that agreement, you take that 100 billion, and let's say you're reckless with it, some assets are going to be either seized or there is going to be some refinancing. So how does this benefit the average country? Well, 154 countries right now are united behind the Belt and Road. That means
how many again? How many again?
154.
It's a lot.
Yeah. Unfortunately, some of the big ones, like United States, Canada are not part of it at the moment. At least last check, Canada wasn't. But the nations that are getting the attention and the focus are Southeast Asian nations, the continent of Africa. All those countries are benefiting. I mean, think about it. Kenya has a better rail system than the United States right now. That was brought to you in part by China Rail, who has invested billions of dollars in these countries. They're logistical hubs, billions of dollars. And that's where it becomes. Belt and Road is not just logistics. It's a banking system as well. If you think, we have an application, a super app. It's called WeChat. In one app, you can basically pay for anything, open up a bank account within about 15 minutes, add your cards onto it. I'll give you an example. If you want to open up a company, and let's say you want to, I don't know, tonight you want to sell shoes or something at a market. You can go onto this application, get a license, get certification by the company, and have a QR code that you can take payments from 99.6% of the population within hours. So now you're in business. Now you can get money. Now you can order. And if you're part of the Belt and Road as well, you're not part of a tariff system, a massive tariff system. They believe in the equal movement of goods, and the equal movement of goods with either zero tariffs to marginal. Some countries will have a minimum. But we see that investment and that expansion. What happens when you expand and you expand to all these nations around the world? There's a synergy. And that synergy is like, hey, your rail can connect to our rail. Your logistics can connect to our logistics. Your ports work with our ports. Your banks work with our banks. Your currency is stable. You are stable. And that's what we're seeing. This Belt and Road is getting into, I would say, second and third gear here. I live in the city of Chongqing. It's the motor city of China. It is a mind-blowing city when you see it. A population about the size of Canada. And it's gone from, I call it 0 to 60, no pun intended, but 0 to 60 in the last 60 months. It's the new energy vehicle manufacturer, pretty much capital of China. The new energy vehicle market, they laughed at it many years ago in Western countries. I don't even think there's, besides Tesla, there's not many cars driving around there. But if you can get into a car and you can drive anywhere from 800 to 1,200 kilometers on one charge, and there's charging stations around the entire country, and you see your gas bill, it used to be, go down 90%, that's an impact to your life on a positive note. Then when you see the manufacturing capability, it's not like they've shut out United States. It's not like they shut out European automakers. No, they've invited them here to collaborate. To be honest, most of the tires on these cars are not made in China. They're either Michelin tires, they're Pirelli tires, they're Goodyear tires. The brakes on the cars, most of them are German engineering brakes on the cars. And China knows, like, okay, we're not going to reinvent the wheel. What are we doing? Somebody's already done that. Let's pay them for that. Let's collaborate. But then when you start slamming tariffs in at the tune of 40, 50, 100, 150%, they go elsewhere. Or they say, you know what? Maybe it is a good time we get into tire manufacturing, or maybe it is a good time that we get into, we don't want to be held hostage. And that's the thing, that when we do a full circle and the Belt and Road and where we are right now at this pinnacle moment here in time, where the American government is getting in deeper in an area, and I'm not going to talk about military wise, that's more for Scott Ritter to discuss, but China is gearing up its coal manufacturing as we speak. China is getting ready to help these countries that are going to be in need if this war prolongs. I know they call it a special military operation in the United States, but if this war continues, the countries that are going to be affected, they're going to need help, and China is already planning for that. And what a great way to just stay out of politics and help the average person in these nations get through it. I mean, you go out here, there's no inflation here. We haven't had inflation here. We haven't had spike in gas prices here. None of that's happening. On a country of 1.4 billion, we're just sitting back being spectators, and the country is saying we're ready to help anybody that needs it. Back to you guys.
Can I ask a question that I fear is going to be naive, but maybe there are other people in the audience who are as naive as I am? you were talking about how Trump manipulates the markets. So my question is, why doesn't everybody just ignore him, knowing that he changes his mind in the blink of an eye constantly?
Thank you for that question, Jeff. The average person in the financial markets, once again, has a stock brokerage account. If you try to go in and you try to become a derivative trader and take advantage of this, most of these firms will make it extremely difficult for you to get into that. I've been teaching people in the derivatives market for the last 20 years. It usually takes between 1 to 3 months to understand how to trade that market. And once they're in that market, they look at the stock market and they say, whoa, wait a minute. Why are the entire world trading the stock market from 9 to 5 and we don't know about this? Because most people, 99%, are left out of it. And most people do ignore him. They say, oh, it's after market. Market's closed. No, it's not. The market's just getting going. I mean, we closed the financial markets a few hours ago in New York. The financial equities market, you've closed in New York. But the derivatives market, the future market, wide open. It's like somebody's given us the keys to the Ferrari, and the regulators, where are they? They're at home. They're sipping tea. They're doing whatever. No one's watching the wheel. So yeah, you can ignore Trump all you want, but how's that working out for your 401k right now? If you're a person that's watched the S&P in the last month, that's going to hit you financially. And if people have to survive on income, imagine a few years of this now. We don't know where this war is going. This could go on for 6 months to a year. Everyone thinks, oh, well, we're going to wrap it up. We're going to bomb people into freedom, and we should be all finished in the next few weeks. Not happening. So you can't ignore it, and you can't ignore the market manipulation that's going on. If I was an American, I'd take to the streets. I'd be pissed off, and I'd say, you know what? As a matter of fact, your Supreme Court also ruled against your tariffs. Give me my money back. But they're not, and that's why
the Supreme Court didn't say anything about giving the money back. But that is
absolutely, Jeff. No,
they ruled that it was illegal, but they didn't say you have to return the money by any certain date or anything like that. That's what. Let
me carry on to that point.
Yeah.
If you get a court ruling that says somebody has taken money and they shouldn't have in an American court, let's say somebody sued you financially and took you to civil court and said, okay, Jeff, you took that money, you shouldn't have taken it. I'm pretty certain it should be going back to the counterparty that it was illegally taken from. So we can bend the laws as much as we want, but that money, FedEx went after it financially, they went after it fiscally, and they went after it lawfully within a week after that coming out. FedEx was the first to fire off $1 billion lawsuit to the government. But then Customs and Immigration that handled the taxation kind of put their hands in the air and said, well, we'll get back to you. And there we are.
Well, I didn't mean so much to disagree with you as to point out what seems to me what might be a flaw in the ruling. It's kind of left up to FedEx or whomever to try to get money now, as opposed to the court having said you must return it in this manner by a certain date. That's all I was saying.
I get that. And, to finish my point is there should be some trust in court systems. And if you can't get money back on something that was taken from you, that hit you as a hard-earning American, back from a government that has taken it from you unlawfully, ruled by the Supreme Court, then you have problems with your court systems. You have problems with your governmental systems. And it is rotten to the core. So no wonder what we're seeing play out in the United States. And this isn't me being negative against America. Once again, I told you when I opened this segment of this conversation, I think the country is amazing. When I was growing up, it pretty much was a beacon to any young man or woman growing up in Canada to see our friendly neighbors across the, we'll call it across that beautiful border of ours. And I was always excited when I would enter the United States of America. Now, that's questionable if I'll ever get on a plane to travel to that country ever again.
How do people in China feel about Americans as, ordinary people, and also about Trump?
That's
Will
will
Ryan be greeted with open arms is the hidden question there.
There is a lot of love for the United States here in China. Just outside those doors and windows behind me there is more America on that street than you can imagine. I will walk 50 meters, and the first thing I will be encountered is the Starbucks here. Then we will see the average Chinese person wearing American apparel or whatever kind of brands that are coming out of the United States. And matter of fact, there's Teslas all over the street here. It's kind of a symbolism of reaching success in China, where they start to, or at least used to, show brands of America. And that was a beacon. Now, the average person might think, hey, but China's a communist country. Well, you may think that observation comes with a stereotype, which it does. But a matter of fact, this is one of the most capitalistic countries on the planet. And these people, they like to make money. They like to make investments. They wake up every single morning in a collective attitude and say, how can we make this country amazing? How can we, further our careers? How can we become innovative? So after being held by the neck economically for many years, let's say in the late 90s, early 2000s, manufacturing was the key for the country, where most companies from the United States actually built the manufacturing here. That was a U.S. decision, U.S. companies' decision, U.S. CEO's decision.
I'm glad you're saying that.
Yeah, over here.
Sorry. Let me interrupt.
No problem.
I'm really glad that you are bringing that point up, because people like to complain about China taking away all the factories and so forth. And I say exactly what you're saying. This was not a decision made by the Chinese to take American factories. These were the those who believe in shareholder value in the corporate offices who said, well, we want to increase our golden parachute, our pay, our shareholder value, our quarterly profits, and therefore right in line with H-1B guest employees that are paid substantially less, or now what you said is AI, is exactly this. We said, oh, well, we'll make all this profit by making it in China where it's cheap.
Yeah, that whole word cheap is interesting, because as we take shots at China for making cheap product, we have to understand who is the end buyer here. Well, the end buyer is let's say somebody like Walmart. Walmart will go into a trade show like you saw at the beginning here, the Canton Fair, and they will say, right, we want to sell teacups or salad bowls, but we only want to pay 50 cents for the salad bowl to be made. It needs to be shipped. And once it enters our country, with or without tariffs, we have to sell it to the consumer for Y. Now, the consumer gets it. It comes home. It might last a month or two and it breaks, and they'll say, cheap Chinese product. Well, if you came over and you said to China, hey, we're going to spend a few more dollars. Can you make it a little bit better quality? They would. And people would say, well, no, that's impossible. Well, I think Americans are using iPhones right now, and those are manufactured in China, in the Shenzhen region, in many plants throughout the country here. It is a top quality product. Laptops are made here. DJI drones are made here. And now China has expanded into its own brands. Huawei is a mobile giant over here as well, various cameras and other companies, even in AI. But again, we hear this argument, China has taken our jobs and they're making things cheap. And this is to the average viewer out there, do you think the profits from an iPhone go to factory workers that work hard here in China? Now, they're reasonably paid now. We've gone through that years back, where workers want their fair share of pay, and they're getting it. But does the average viewer think the profits from iPhone go to, the manufacturers here in China? No. Look at Apple's quarterly reports. Look where the profits go. They go to Cupertino in California. They go to the American shareholders. So in one hand, we have American shareholders that are enjoying some of the greatest companies in the world, the Magnificent Seven companies in the United States. that are built on the backbone of Chinese workers. The average investor makes money on the stocks that go up. Shouldn't everybody be happy? It's a win-win? No. Most of the financial markets and the Americans say, no, we want all our manufacturing back to the United States. Well, you know what, guys? Go for it. You want to go see how much it would cost to make a LED TV screen in your country under your labor laws and your manufacturing? Let's see what the cost of an iPhone is going to be to you. Let's see what the cost of a television is going to be for you. Let's see what a computer or anything that you use, whether it's in manufacturing, building homes, plumbing, electric gear. Go for it. I say if you want to bring back manufacturing to America, fine. Probably not the greatest time to be bringing manufacturing back in when AI is coming in and everything is robotic. But by all means, if you want to shut down these factories in China, move on, because this country pretty much is self-contained. I would say we enjoy collaboration with many places around the world. And we might have viewers say, hey, this guy, he's a CCP shill. He's, hey,
but don't you think it's legitimate don't you think it's legitimate to be concerned about the U.S. having to rely on China? I mean, isn't that what's motivating this enthusiasm to bring the industry back here?
Yeah, Jeff, but you rely on Canada for some of your electricity. So what should we do? Tell them to shut the dams down in the St. Lawrence River in the United States, say, take your energy, Canada, piss off? Or, for other things. How about dairy production? We don't even have to talk about manufacturing. We just talk about cows that are grazing in the prairies in Canada. You could just say, okay, we don't want your cows anymore. We don't want your milk anymore. Where does it stop? And what happens is United States, Canada, all these non-Belt and Road countries push the Belt and Road countries into the hands of the Chinese. You don't think the Iranian, who is going to build Iran after it's been bombed mercilessly into submission with 20,000 bombs we hear over the last few weeks? Do you think they're going to let American contractors in there, Canadian contractors in there, German contractors, French who are on their way with warships? You think they're going to let those guys back into the country to rebuild? Absolutely not. They're going to let the boys that sit back and say, this shouldn't have happened. We wouldn't do that because China hasn't been in a conflict since 1979. So we're going to help these countries. And there you go. The Middle East is lost. The Middle East will no longer be the same. And it will fall into the arms of the Chinese. And that's not the Chinese going in there and saying, hey, man, do business with us or else. And when you do business with us, we're going to throw some military bases on there. Count how many military bases outside of China that China has.
It's just two, right? it's just two, right? Yeah, but I think in the sentiment that you have Americans that what you're saying, oh, you want to bring manufacturing, that's being exploited because you do have people who remember a generation where their grandfather worked their entire life at AT&T or some other company and made a living, and it was just a single, he only worked, the woman stayed home, and they were able to have a good living. People remember that. So I don't think it's at the fault of the American for wanting or craving that kind of way of life back. What's at fault is kind of the corporations, the shareholders that basically sold the American people out, and then you had China fill the void there. So I just say that just because it's I don't want it to be like I don't think the Americans are at fault, because I think a lot of them were either exploited. When my father remembers NAFTA being introduced, it was, oh, we're all going to be rich. We're all going to get a taste of the pie. And you guys are not going to have to work that hard. When the leaders and the execs knew exactly what was happening. I think right at that time when NAFTA was signed, you had 2 million people were, internally displaced in Mexico, which kind of started this snowball effect of, the migration problem that we see today. So all of that is kind of like, a trickle down of those policies. So I don't think that, the American people are really at fault. I think we're just kind of waking up to the the reality is that we don't have that kind of American dream that once was. That's where I kind of, I don't know if you caught me, I kind of chuckled when you said that America was outside your window. I thought you were going to say of the opportunism that's in the streets and not the some of the corporate companies like Tesla, Starbucks. I was like, oh no, that's what America's known for now, is not like the opportunism, the go and get it mentality, the you can make what you put in, which I kind of think that kind of emulates what the America is that I want to kind of remember, as opposed to what we have right now.
Yeah, the golden years. I can relate to that, and I can understand that that's what people want back. But life's moved on. Yeah, there is opportunity still for American companies. Yeah, look at their balance sheets. They're selling billions of dollars to this very country that I'm sitting in right now. Yeah. We bring the growth to some of your companies now. And then there's that whole thing, but the Chinese steal things. Well, if the Chinese wanted to steal something, why didn't they steal the iPhone? It's manufactured here. It's made here, because they're not interested. Now, where we see acceleration, we also see destruction. If you look at the American business model, it's broken. Why are the prison systems in the United States publicly traded financial companies on the New York Stock Exchange?
It's unbelievable.
Then, in return, pay judges or lobbyists to extend for people to go to prison for longer terms. So you got this. I get it. The average American is either concerned or up to their eyeballs in debt, or kind of feeling, hey man, what's in it for us right now? Well, I saw the light. I got the hell out of there in North America, and I said, wait a minute, this tax system's outrageous. This medical system's outrageous. When I have an elderly mother who might wait 6 months, 9 months for a MRI to see what is wrong or maybe not wrong with her. We've got a broken medical system there. But then I walk into a hospital in China, and $50 later and 2 hours later, I have a CAT scan and the results. So it really starts to alter your way and saying, yeah, wait a minute, what the hell is wrong with our government? And I'm going to tell you. People want to blame China or for this manufacturing. Why not take $200 billion that has been lobbied to get money for defense and pump that back in to new ideas for American kids or entrepreneurs? Have a fund of $1 trillion for people to try some ideas. And if they don't make it, no problem. We tried, we've attempted to do it. But no, it's kind of like, you go into a bank in America, you want to get a loan if you can, you put your house up and you make that risk. If it doesn't work, you lose everything. The Chinese government comes in, they come in with funding and they say, okay, Junior, go out, try your idea. Next thing you know, Alibaba appears. Okay, Junior, go out, try your idea. The next thing you know, DJI, drone manufacturing, appears. Labubu dolls appear. So it's kind of like, there is funding by the government here to help people in the future. Your funding, unfortunately, is going to bomb the Middle East. And we wonder why the average American is pissed off. Well, every single bomb that falls from the sky is brought to you in part by the American taxpayer. And I agree, we need somebody to blame. We need somebody to be pissed off at, right? Oh, goddamn China. If it's not China, guys, it's going to be at Vietnam next. If it's not Vietnam, it's going to be Sri Lanka. It's going to be Bangladesh.
Well, it was Russia.
Thailand.
Yeah,
it was Russia.
It's Iran right now. So,
so let me.
And again, I love America, guys. I want America to be back. But how America can get back is they can get on an airplane. The president of the United States can sit down with the Chinese counterpart and hopefully take some advice saying, guys, stop bombing countries that you think that you can bomb into freedom. Stop, build, or what do I call it? The triple B, bomb, bankrupt, and bully. Stop that triple B attitude to countries. Get down, make some massive money, and get in with the Chinese. American technology with Chinese manufacturing is a win-win, huge win for the world. They want that more than ever here. I want it more than ever. And look, the country of China, it's relaxing its visa policies every single day here. Another country has announced saying no visas to come in here. So what's stopping people?
I just heard on the radio there's an example of what you just are recommending that's in the works. Unfortunately, it's in the works for the wrong reason, and that is because of the war. Oil prices are skyrocketing. So now there's talk that the U.S. will lift the ban on importing Chinese electric cars. And maybe there'll be a partnership between, say, Ford and one of the Chinese companies. As a way
Jeff,
to
Ford's
counter,
already here. Ford's already here.
Yeah, but the Chinese electric cars aren't here.
Yeah, they're not sold here.
BYD will be in Europe, I think, this year, specifically on that. Actually, take a minute here. I was just looking at a few things. Fortune this last week had an article saying that the Treasury's own published numbers show that the U.S. is insolvent. This is talking about our national debt. I saw this today from the Global Burden of Disease, that for the first time, really, the United States has surpassed North Korea and China in death rate from malnutrition, which is pretty shocking. Now, on what you've made a point, Alex, about U.S. and China. This is something that I think we don't say enough, that in fact, the U.S. in a certain sense should join the Belt and Road, actually. And let me give one historic example. In New York City, you have the Alexander Hamilton Bridge, which is the middle one there. The New York State Department of Transportation contracted for $419 million with a Chinese company to rebuild this entire bridge. And there are probably, I would say, thousands of projects like that to, at minimum, get the United States back to zero. Because in my view, we're underwater right now. We're not. So this idea that we're going to catch them through our capital markets or something like that, it's really, it's not true. One example, and this is one place that I would love, Alex, when I'm in China, to go to with you, if that's possible. Yangshan is, I think, encapsulates everything you've been saying about China. It's a man-made island, and it's totally automated. I mean, have you been to this island? Have you had an opportunity to investigate this? And can you talk some about this and what I'm saying about U.S.-China cooperation?
Yeah, that's an interesting port. One that has caught my attention because you brought it up a few times now. And I think it's worthy of me to put some energy into that. If that is catching the eyeballs of Americans and I missed it, I'm not doing my job. So
let's go, Alex. Let's go. Let's take our cameras. Let's go.
I agree. I totally agree with that. I just want to answer Jeff's question here about new energy vehicles. There is a lot of manufacturing going on here over the before NEVs were, up and coming in this country. A lot of General Motors, Stellantis, Ford, they were all here and selling millions of cars to the Chinese, okay? Millions of cars, and doing quite well. And then the Chinese decided, wait a minute, let's have a look at this new energy vehicle stuff. Now, for the average viewer, they're going to say, a golf cart with a battery, okay? Or car starts on fire. Okay, heard that one. It won't start in minus 30-degree weather. Okay, I heard that one. They're unreliable. They're death on wheels. Okay, heard that one. I've heard them all. I used to be skeptical. I mean, I'm a guy that grew up with a Trans Am, man. American muscle on the roads, right? I had my, I think, Z28 as well. And I loved American cars. I loved, I guess I was a little petrol head when I was a young teenager. I used to like getting on the streets and feeling when you put that foot to the ground, you could feel the power.
Totally.
And if most people have not been in a new energy vehicle, they will say, "Oh, it's got to drive differently. It's got to be it's different. It's different." Well, let me tell you what happened. When I first arrived in China here to live permanently about 6 years ago, I ordered a taxi on one of their taxi apps, similar to an Uber app, but they call it Didi over here. And I ordered a Didi premium car. It's a few more dollars. And just so you know, 20 to 30 kilometer ride here will cost you about $8, $7. Okay. So the infrastructure is built for the people here. And it's built that if you don't want to take a cheap Didi, you can then take a monorail. If you don't want to take a monorail, you can take a subway. These are open late at night, early in the morning. They are built so the average person doesn't have to buy a car, which will devalue and lose its value and be stuck in that cycle for generations. But new energy vehicles, let's get to it. When I was here, I got into a car. I ordered a premium car. It was called the Avatar, A-V-A-T-R. I believe that's the correct spelling, not like Avatar, the movie, but A-V-A-T-R. So this is built by Changan Automobiles here in Chongqing. Now, this car, when I was in it, was one of the most impressive cars I've ever been in. I'm sitting in the car. The driver starts chatting with me. You have immediate translation on the dashboard while he's talking to me. Would you like your massage on your, yeah, there we go. That's an 07. Would you like a zero gravity seat, sir? Would you like your seat heated? Would you like a massage while we go? Would you like to watch something? Would you like to sit in the back seat? We have a pull down cinema screen. We have a refrigerator in the back seat. And at first I thought this was a gas powered car because it was powerful and it was fast. And I thought, okay, gas powered. Yeah, I'm a buyer. So I got out of the car and I went to look at the back to see the badge, to see what the car was. And I noticed that there was no tailpipes. And at that moment, I said, North American, Canadian auto workers, we got a problem here. And we have a massive problem. These cars are not brought on with a save the world, Greta Thunberg approach. This is not the drive on why these cars are brought here. They are brought here because they are manufactured here. Yeah, exactly. I love that. That's beautiful. They have a extended battery range from 800 to 1,200 kilometers. They help the average person save money on gas. And funny, 36 million people right outside that window, and there's a city with no smog, no noise on the roads, and the manufacturing has worked. Hundreds of brands here. Yes, there are going to be casualties. There is going to be consolidations. But here's the silver lining here. There is time for the United States of America to take advantage of this. America can win with this. Stop saying, oh, they're cheap Chinese cars. Oh, we don't want the cars. Oh, we don't need them. You bought the TVs from China. You bought the phones from China. And you probably bought the cars from Korea. And you bought the cars from Japan. And you bought the European cars. I'm sure there's some Ferraris on the roads in the United States. Open the doors to Chinese. Now, what are you afraid about? The Chinese will take your market. The Chinese would probably arrive today, still at this moment in time, and say, let's do a collaboration together. And let's sell these cars to the world together in a massive partnership. Let's go for it. But what incentives are brought to the Chinese companies? Screw you, China. Take your cars. Piss off. Don't come here. We're going to tariff you 100%. Well, what happens? The cars, where do they end up? South America. They're all over South America now. Right.
Well, that's how it has been. But like I said, there's now talk of actually doing it. In fact, Morgan and I and her mother, we had dinners Saturday night, and I showed up and I said, I just heard this on the radio. We were talking about that. So I don't know how much stock to put in that, one radio report, but you never know. Here is the evidence. That's Morgan's lovely mom.
Hello, Mom.
We had dinner on a rooftop hotel in Wilmington, North Carolina, and there's the happy couple.
Beautiful, Jeff. Yeah, beautiful sunset.
And here is all three of us. Isn't that nice? All right. Sorry for that, teacher. I wanted to just share that. But what did you mention before?
Yep.
I'm just going to
end on NEV, and then I'll hand it back over to you guys. Again, America has the opportunity of a lifetime here to get in bed with the Chinese manufacturers. The current administration, unfortunately, has massive barriers in place and has sold this to the public. We're keeping these cars out. We want to take care of the unions that sell these cars in their factories. It can be done with the current structure of the American automotive industry with the change of tooling. Got to remember, Teslas are built in China here in the Shanghai factory. The battery that powers Tesla is built by CATL. That is a Chinese manufacturer. The Americans have the opportunity of a lifetime here to massively take over the world here of new energy vehicles with collaborations with Chinese companies. It's on their doorstep. I hope the meeting what Trump has coming up, that they can say, you know what, let's not be afraid to open new frontiers and let's win-win together.
Well, yeah, he is postponing it. Before he gets there, Ryan will be there. Are you going to try to negotiate something on behalf of the auto manufacturers, Ryan?
So I think not on behalf of them, but definitely on behalf of what Alex is saying, that there should be, because the Chinese, they're into business. They want to make money. They want to have business. They want to have construction projects everywhere. And I mean, this is what we voted for. Like, again, Alex, what you said, there was a lot of hope when Trump was campaigning that basically we were going to open that up here. So I think there is a historical basis. I want to point to Sun Yat-sen. There's a beautiful statue of him in Beijing, looking very much like the Lincoln Memorial. He had the principles of nationalism, democracy, the improvement of the people's livelihood. He was basically an American. Some say he was literally born in Hawaii, then became the first president of the Chinese Republic during World War II. We were allies. Back in 1997, Alex, I started talking about something called the World Land Bridge. And this is a bit of an updated map of it. But this was something I went to Congress for almost 25 years, talking to Democrats and Republicans, saying that the U.S. should partner with Russia, China, India, a group of other nations to build corridors of development, which would then just open up all the American factories and put lots of people to work, raise the standard of living, because we do know our taxes, as you said, go to weapons. But if you have more taxpayers because you're building things in the country, then your population improves. So, Alex, that's my mission to go to China, is to find people over there who want to come back and help the United States join this project the way you're describing it.
Yeah, I just hope that message will get through. You know, the average hardworking American, again, has just been pushed to the brink where they thought, okay, one more time, we're going in again. And I get it. I get the optics. I understand the pressure. And there's a lot more going on in these government levels than we know. But again, you got to look at even the youth here in China. Even you see young children playing in the parks with dump trucks and cranes. They're not walking around with fighter jets and warships as toys. These are young generations that are coming up, and they're seeing their cities sprinkled with towering cranes and skyscrapers. And, you know, just in the Chongqing municipality, there's 20,000 bridges here. 20 are world class, and a few of them are Guinness Book of World Records. These are engineers, these people that want to build things, like you said. And, you know, to follow what Morgan was saying earlier, it's a country that is very misunderstood. People they look at China as manufacturing, and they think this country is just littered with, you know, manufacturing outlets to make garments. You know, the clothing industry has pretty much moved out of China. It's mostly in Bangladesh or even Vietnam. And to help the average American, it's very simple. What you can do is let's use Detroit for an example. Okay, Detroit had its good days in probably the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and now it's since the housing crisis, since the financial crisis in 2008, Detroit's never got itself back. Ford is still a good brand worldwide, but imagine if someone said, "Okay, we're going to take this area around Detroit and we're going to make it a special economic zone. That means there'll be no taxes paid within this zone. Cars can be built within this zone. TVs can be built within this zone. There'll be no taxes paid within this zone. And if any of it is used for domestic use, it will be zero tax. When it's shipped to the other markets, around the world, we'll make it a very simple method to get it to the market through customs. There'll be no tariffs. Because remember, the tariffs are not paid by other countries. They're paid by you, the American taxpayer. When they are shipped into the country, they are paid. So the Chinese aren't affected by it. Raise it 100%. We don't care. So if you do the special economic zone model in the United States, and you do it with the car industry, and you do it with China, of course, and they'll bring their expertise over, that is it. You're going to see an explosion on a market like you've never seen. And it won't just end with cars. Got to remember, a lot of municipal governments throughout the country have, garbage trucks, buses, bus fleets. And imagine the average cost of a car coming down for an American. People that maybe want to become an Uber driver in the United States won't have to buy a $50,000 car and see it lose its value. They might be able to buy a $15,000 car that might be able to drive 600,000 kilometers on a full battery before it gets recycled. And just to finish my last thing about new energy vehicles is people always, go on the battery. Oh, what do you got to do to replace the battery? They've already gone through that. I'll give you an example, and watch how fast this can be. Jeff, watch how fast this can be done in the United States of America. When you go in the highway in the United States of America and you're driving, right? Let's call it Route 66. There's gas stations everywhere, right? Yeah. They're everywhere. We're around there. I don't know what the brands are in the United States, maybe Shell, Esso, or whatever, Chevron. But these gas stations are all throughout the country because people need fuel and people like driving their cars because the infrastructure is not there for a 350-kilometer train like it is in China. So let's just say over the next 10, 20 years, the Americans are not going to, even though they want to build an infrastructure for high-speed rail, they're going to continue to go on the highways. Well, what China has done now is they have something called battery swapping technology. And what that is you drive your car into something like a car wash, similar bay like a car wash, right? You've been to these automated car washes before. They're not the greatest for a car's paint, but you park it in there, you put a few coins in there. The guy says, pull forward, stop your car. It washes your car in 3 minutes, right? And you're out the door. Well, that's all it takes to swap a battery from new energy vehicles. There's a company called NIO, N-I-O here that uses this battery swapping technology by the company CATL.
Wow. Which so you don't even have to wait for it to charge.
No, you just get a new battery in your car. 3 minutes later, you're on the road.
It's a great idea.
These can be put in every single service station across America. And goodbye the argument on, we don't have charging stations anywhere. We can't do it. It's hard to find a charging station. Well, go to a gas station. They'll be happy to sell you some Doritos and Coca-Cola while your battery is getting changed and a hot dog. And you get back in your car and on your way to go. And that's where we are right now. And that actually, it did come through a couple of companies that were trying it. But unfortunately, some other companies that were trying to compete. Again, as I said, there will be consolidation. China has done the homework. Some companies have not made it to the finish line when it comes to selling these cars. But again, imagine that. United States of America, invite the Chinese over. And don't diss these cars, America, until you sit in them and enjoy them. And imagine being excited that you can afford a car again and get into this car.
We have politicians here, also certain podcast hosts who say that China is our greatest adversary. I hear that a lot. To what extent do you guys think? Well, I'm not asking whether you agree with it, but I'm asking how much do you think that mindset might thwart this spirit of cooperation that people like us crave?
Well, I think
it's
that's
damaging.
It's the whole
Yeah, go
point.
ahead, Morgan.
That's that otherism. That's the whole point. I think if we, my generation, I don't know if you guys remember the whole TikTok scare. We got to get rid of TikTok, and so my generation, we said, okay, we'll get on. Was it Red Note, and which is the Chinese version, and all of us had our jaws on the floor, basically saying, oh, everything that our leaders have been telling us is not true. So we are completely aware and awake to the lies that we've been told prior to other generations, to how China is a lot more advanced. You have access to all these different innovations. I have a friend who he stayed in China for a little bit, and he was telling us about all these little cool things that they add convenience to your lives that would be easy to implement in a major city. I think one of them was like this. Rent an umbrella or something, where you go down the street, you can rent an umbrella and you return it. And it's something so clear that it doesn't even require, here we have this kind of corporate consolidation. That's what's really kind of, I think, hindering any of the technological progression. We can't have high-speed rail because, we got to have big oil wants us to use the cars and the highways. So that's why I think that's the true impediment for us not having these advancements like we see in China, is that you have this kind of corruption from the top that really forces our way of life, to kind of be this kind of consumerism, and kind of keep us way back in time where we don't. I think the last major city was either that we built was Miami or Las Vegas, which kind of shows where our culture is. I mean, both of those places are like bed baths of just,
But Morgan, what about Taiwan? The Chinese are about to take Taiwan.
Well, I guess that's my next element that I want to get Alex's thing, is that what we're experiencing right now is the death of a old world order, and that's kind of what we see with this viciousness that we're having in Taiwan, what we saw in Gaza. I mean, there's the complete just scrapping of any kind of international law or decorum in the rule of law or war. And that's what we're seeing right now. It's just this ugliness because something new is forming, something new is birthing out of this. And I think it is, the BRICS alliance, these new alliances that are kind of scrapping this old Western hegemonic power, the IMF. And that's kind of in that transition, it's going to get ugly. I fear that, the US is going to push something with Taiwan because it's our last grandstand of, holding this power that we once had. We can't even take on the Houthis in the Red Sea. And so we're experiencing this. I want to get your take on that. So.
Yeah, there is no denying that the American military is powerful. There's no denying that. There's no denying that it is feared in the world. There's no denying that. Absolutely. I mean, it is an impressive military. It's impressive force. And it can do impressive damage. Doing many podcasts with Scott Ritter, who has really educated tens of thousands of people to understand that America has built an impressive military for generations. And I don't think we're ever going to see a deviation away from that thought. Now, who it picks and who it gets involved in wars in is a completely different strategy. Now, if we're going to look at Taiwan, we always hear this, China's going to take Taiwan. China doesn't have to take Taiwan. Taiwan is part of China and will always be part of China. The Taiwanese people of this lovely island are not what the propaganda media has been portraying this, it's Taiwan against China. They are the brothers and sisters in this country. Now, there's water between them and the mainland, but just like Hong Kong, Macau, some of these special administrative regions, they have successfully managed in difficult parts of time. The Hong Kong handover, everyone was saying it's going to be, a massive time, authoritarian government's going to come in. What happened? Hong Kong flourished. It did amazing things. I think there's over 19,000 American companies listed to do business in Hong Kong for its tax benefits, for its logistical benefits. And it's the financial, I would say, the financial hub of Southeast Asia and Asia in general. Just that name, Hong Kong, think about it. That resonates. Wow. Wealth, power. Okay. And they're part of China. But to the average person, they think China took them. So when it comes to the Taiwan situation, it is inevitable that there will be reunification. It will happen on China's watch, on China's time, and on China's program. Now, do the Americans think it's appropriate to come and sell missiles and arms to this island that is only a few kilometers off the shore of the mainland of China? Very risky to do that. I'm not sure the Canadians would enjoy somebody flying into, I don't know, one of our islands and saying, hey, we're going to dump $50 billion of hardware because we can. Now, the Chinese have been pretty relaxed on this. They are aware of it. They bring it up many times. But we have to look at the military here. The military here in China is not built for offense. It's built for defense. It's built to defend its land. It's not going to go out in the middle of the seas and try to be heroes to sink, whether it's whoever's involved, NATO warships or even US warships. They're going to bunker down. They're going to say, come to our shores. And that is something I would never welcome or even want to fathom happening here, because this country's ready. We hear statistics, you know, there's X million soldiers in China. No, there's 1.4 billion soldiers in China. If this nation is ever come under attack, what you think would be an easy target for the Americans, think again, because every manufacturer here, remember, this is the manufacturing warehouse of the world, would be turned into a defensive country overnight. They could retool this country to become a massive supplier of weaponry that would just blow your mind. So I don't think there is fear of the Chinese, because even at some of the air shows, they open their weaponry hall to the public, where the public walk in and they see what their government is buying. I was there in 2024 in November, and I visited the weaponry hall and I interviewed some people, the average Chinese citizen. I said, pretty scary looking stuff. What do you think about it? And most people say, well, we buy it for defense. I'm happy for our country that we haven't been in a war since 1979. We don't believe in attacking and bringing our principles to other nations. So I'm happy that, and this is the average Chinese person speaking that way. Mm-hmm. They don't want to go to war with anybody. They don't want to war with America. Hell no. They do follow geopolitics for sure. And they will have their opinions about what's going on, which they can, which even though we think in North America that the social media is closed here, it's bigger and better than ever. I think there's more discussion on the Iranian-US situation probably in there than you can imagine here. You probably see it on Red Note as well.
Yeah,
well, that's why I asked the inspectors. I'm sorry, go ahead, Morgan.
Yeah, I think America is coming to terms with how much censorship we're actually facing. I think we are not getting the true numbers on the casualty rate of how many soldiers have died right now. I mean, the American government just hired the enlisting rate to 42 years old. What does that remind you of? Yeah. That reminds me of Ukraine. That's so, right. So if we're sitting here saying, "Oh, we're winning this," I kind of wanted to rebuttal what you were saying, Alex, saying that we have like this great military. I think it's great in destruction, but it's not great at meeting any kind of goals. I mean, any engagement that we've had in my lifetime has just been pure destruction, no clear objectives, and just leaving the country
political.
Worse.
That's not a criticism of the military. That's the criticism of the political.
Well, a true military
of the planners.
Yeah, that's the corrupt motive of what they were engaging in. But I don't think the military tactics have come to like any kind of boots on the ground in Iraq. What did that get? We just left Iraq a week ago.
Yeah, but I think Jeff's making the right point, is that these were plans that were basically, the military was told to carry out something that was not planned out, because the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, but back in February, came out and said that we should think twice about attacking Iran. That's what's his name, Randy Kane, who is the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff currently. So he has said that. There's others. So I think it's a political decision to what you're saying there. The military has a destructive capacity for sure. That's
given like the Houthis, how we fought with them in the Red Sea, we had to do essentially a ceasefire. So it wasn't even that we defeated them.
Well, we didn't commit. We didn't commit because an aircraft carrier is a multi-billion-dollar enterprise. And if you're going to go and fight the Houthis with an aircraft carrier battle group, either you're going to do it or you're not going to do it. And projection of power is not the same thing as waging war anymore. People see that that's fake.
Paging Scott Ritter. We need somebody to straighten out Morgan. She's not believing us.
Yeah, Alex did interview Scott Ritter, and then also Scott has. I've been listening to him on this. He does definitely make the point of destructive capability. But on the military thing, since you are bringing that up, Morgan, and also China, Lieutenant Colonel Larry Wilkerson, who was Colin Powell's chief of staff, made a comment recently on a show with Larry Johnson, Danny Haiphong, about the Iran conflict. I have a short snippet. I want to get your view or what the Chinese view is maybe on what he says on this. So let's give that a quick look here.
What we're doing here, Donald Trump has no conception of what I'm going to say. Neither does Pete Hegseth. I don't think Vance does either, although Peter Thiel might have given him some insights. The people behind this administration, and they're not all Americans, the people behind the money, behind the American empire, want China taking down. That's what this real purpose of this war in Iran is for this country.
Wow, I haven't seen that clip. Yeah, send that one to me. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean, on that same note with Venezuela, who there was the delegation, the Chinese delegation that was there the day prior to when Maduro was captured. I think you do have reoccurring players on these fields of, trying to defeat China becoming this main superpower, which I think is kind of inevitable at this point.
Are they talking about the Iran conflict with some kind of fear that it's going to affect China? The way that Colonel Larry Wilkerson is saying it there. And I'm not asking you to be a military expert.
I think he's talking about who's controlling all the routes,
policy.
For trade who's controlling the routes for trade. They want to control that's so it's economic, but economic is based on what waterways are open and so forth.
It's also the amount of oil that China gets from the Middle East, which is not as much as India, I believe. I think India is about 80%.
They can get it from Russia.
But I want to get the question. I'm asking for the view from inside China.
Yeah. First of all, thank you for showing that clip. And if you can send me a copy of that, I would like to watch it even further to see how deep he goes. But if we're talking about, China's reliant on oil, is this going to affect it? You see, the policies here, China's government gets together each year and it has a 5-year plan each time. And you have to really give them credit because they're prepared for most of this. You see, if we have companies in the United States or Canada or United Kingdom, most of them are private companies that do drilling. Profits go to the shareholders of these oil companies, the fat cats, we call them. And life goes on. Now, if you need to raise billions and trillions of dollars, everything under the ground here is owned by the government. It's not owned by the people. So if you need to say, right, we need to bring more rare earth, or we need to bring more silver, or more gold, or more oil, That is a possibility. That strategy has been already planned for years. Okay. Now, where China holds the cards is it holds it on rare earth. If you want to continue to bomb the world, America, that's fine. But eventually you're going to have to come knocking to us because we are the ones that control pretty much all of that. So you got a triple knockout here. You want to knock out the oil? Okay. We'll knock out the rare earth. Okay. But if you have good trading partners, that oil is still coming to China, and it will continue to come to China. And if it's not coming to China from Iran, it's coming from Russia, who is sitting back quietly raking in trillions of dollars into their treasury while this new war goes on, even though we're calling it a special military operation. The Chinese are ready for this. This country hasn't gone through massive inflation spikes like we've seen throughout the world. They manage their bank here. Also got to remember that Iran has not been part of the SWIFT banking system for decades. So this business has been going through Iran for years, circumventing the U.S. Financial systems. You see, the one word that, and I don't want to continue to hound the Americans for this, but I'm going to call it the world elite. The world elite thought that they could take down Russia financially. So let's take them off the banking system. Let's take our Visa, MasterCard, and American Express. Let's sanction them into an oblivion. Russia came out the other side. They rebuilt their banking system. Bank of China's are opening up all over Russian territory right now. And there you go. The death of the petrodollar. That is, I think, the biggest fear. The money that used to be recycled in the Middle East was very clear. We'll buy your oil. We'll give you US dollars. You pump some of that back into our financial markets, which makes no sense when you see some of these evaluations on the S&P right now. Some of these companies shouldn't even be on there, and they're trading with massive multiples. And that game of merry-go-round was going on for years. Well, it's about to stop. And they picked on the wrong country. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to get into it because, Scott Ritters and those types of experts can say it way better than I can. But Iran is an ally of China. And China understands that when this is all over, when this bombing is all over, they're going to be the first ones to pick up the phone call with the Iranians and saying, okay, can we help you rebuild? Or can we help you with this? And friends with benefits. And if you got to look at it, because look at what happened to Russia. They push Russia into the arms of China. Russia is long. What I mean long is they are long everything the world needs right now. Gas, they need it. Wheat for food. Food is going to be a crisis coming up here soon. Russia's got it. Natural resources. Russia's got it. And what did they do? They pushed them away. And now you're seeing the rewinding of these sanctions. Okay, now it's okay to buy Russian oil. Okay, now it's okay to buy Iranian oil. Okay, forget the tariffs. Take them down. We got to get the oil into the market because, we were talking today. I just got a photo from Cyrus Jansen sent to me saying, good morning, Las Vegas, 5.99 for diesel a gallon.
Wow.
There we go.
Cyrus is somebody who's a genius on these things in China. I've seen the two of you travel, and he's somebody I thought he lived in China, actually, also.
Las Vegas.
Oh, okay. He's somebody I definitely want to talk to as well. He's the two of you have some fantastic discussions.
Well, we should wrap it up. I'd like to do that with a little callback to something we saw in the opening, which was, it's sort of ironic and symbolic if you think about it. While we're at war and very much involved in drone technology being used for weapons, we saw a whole different use of drones in that opening video. And one thing that I've been wondering, because we spoke about this privately, Alex, you said that when Ryan gets there, you might be able to get him access to see the show. And
absolutely.
I was watching.
All of you are invited. Every one of you are invited.
No, but here's my question.
go.
When I was watching the video, it looks like there's tons of drones way up in the sky. Can't people see it from just about anywhere without having to get a ticket to some special location to see it?
Yeah, everybody can see it everywhere. And I just want to say a big thank you to the panel today. And if you have any questions, fire them at me. Even if they are stereotypes of China, I'll try to answer them as honestly as I can. But amazing panel today. I wish I could spend more time even talking with you guys, because I find it very enlightening. It's a really nice outlet for me. But to answer your question about the drones, yeah, you can see it everywhere. But I want Ryan to see it when the Chongqing Symphony Orchestra is playing while we're enjoying a seat and maybe having a wine. That would make it a little bit more memorable.
I think you just went over Ryan's heart.
All right, Alex. I'll see you in a couple of days. I'm going to talk to you after the show.
He may move in with you. You're not going to be able to get rid of him. What about another thing you told me privately? This was a long time ago when we talked. Is that younger women in China are attracted to older American men, and I'm asking for a friend.
I talked about this.
Yeah,
What?
Is that true?
So glad we're
true?
dedicating time to the show.
Is that true or not?
Very important question.
True or false?
I can neither confirm nor deny. That's what you say. I can neither confirm nor deny.
Okay, no, let me answer this the way I said it.
By the way, I apologize if I was supposed to keep that private. I don't remember you telling me that. But you told me that when you go outside your building, sometimes there's girls out there waiting. Right?
They're only fans. Okay, not only fans. They are fans. But
moment of silence for only fans.
When it comes to one thing I've noticed about the culture here is that age is not like there's so much respect for all types of age. Like when we say respect your elders, we say that it kind of like as a gesture, but it's pretty deep rooted here. Families, generations of Chinese families, there's respect all the way up to their elders, and that means like yes, somebody will still today in this world. Get up from their chair, help an elderly person sit down, as well as there's not this, he's dating her, he's 10 years older or 15 years. There's none of that stereotype from what I've encountered in most of these cities going on here. And I think there's still a massive curiosity. Remember, I came to the city here, Chongqing. No one had heard about it 6 years ago. I was one of the first vloggers to vlog this on social media. No one knew about the city. And if you looked at it 7 years ago on CNN, it said, it's an industrial city. It showed big, dark, ugly clouds of smog over it. Now it's one of the most Instagrammable and popular cities in the world now. And so there's still this curiosity. Even when I walk the streets here in Chongqing, the average person is going to come up to you and say, can I take a photo with you? Can you imagine somebody doing that? You're in New York, right? And somebody's, happily saying, hey, you're very handsome, or can I take a photo with you? Or, a lot of people compliment my wife all the time when she goes, she's so beautiful. They take photos. I mean, what a great society to be in, where you're not getting robbed.
Ryan may need security when he walks.
It's clean. Around. People are happy. People are friendly and kind. You feel safe and secure.
Yeah, and there are struggles here.
You're going to have a great time.
Here. Yeah, you have an amazing time.
I'll take that as a yes. Ryan is going to be swarmed by young girls. All right, so we've been telling people, we've been flashing on the screen your YouTube channel and also your X feed. Is there anything else that you want people to know about as far as finding your work? Or is that
I think we're good. I think we're good. If anybody has any financial questions, you'll see on the top of YouTube, my email is there, admin, like administration, admin@reporterfy.com. If you guys need some insights on derivatives markets, just email me and we'll see what we can do for you.
That's very kind of you. Wow. Thank you so much, Alex. It was great. We'd love to have you back anytime you feel like it.
Terrific.
Hang out till after the credits. We can talk a brief moment after that.
Sure.
So thank you all. Thanks to our audience for a lot of good questions, a lot of good comments. We hope to see you all again. Subscribe to us. Watch us.
And thanks to Morgan for having dinner with me in beautiful Wilmington. And give my
I enjoy
best
it. Thank you.
and give my best to your mom. Thanks, Alex. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. Cheers.